Beloved soul, this is Archangel Michael, commander of the celestial forces, guardian of divine truth, and protector of your sacred journey. I have broken through the veils between realms to deliver this urgent message directly to you. There is no coincidence that you are receiving these words at this precise moment. The divine timing is exact, and your spiritual receptors have been awakened to receive what I'm about to reveal. In the next 24 hours, a revelation of such magnitude awaits you that the very foundations of what you believe to be your reality will be transformed. The celestial councils have convened, and your name has been spoken in the hallowed chambers where destinies are determined. I stand before you now, sword of truth unsheathed, to prepare you for what is to come. Type AMEN to acknowledge this divine connection and receive the blessing of 1444, the numerical frequency of immediate protection as this message unfolds. The veil between what you see and what truly exists has grown dangerously thin. For too long, those who have positioned themselves as allies in your life have operated behind a mask of deception. I reveal to you now that within the last 72 hours, a meeting has taken place. A gathering of those who speak kindness to your face, but plot limitation upon your spirit. They have convened to create barriers to your ascension, for they have sensed the power that stirs within you. This is not merely human jealousy. It is a spiritual assignment against your divine purpose. The light you carry has become too threatening to those who operate in shadow. Your name has been whispered in rooms where the energy is dense with fear of what will happen when you step fully into the inheritance that awaits you. But hear me clearly. What they intended for your diminishment has activated a divine protocol of protection around your spirit. Even now, as you receive these words, celestial guardians are being dispatched to stand watch over your energetic field. The attacks planned against your spirit, your reputation, your peace, and your purpose have been recorded in the Akashic records, and divine justice has been set in motion. Within the next 2 hours, the first wave of truth will begin to surface. You will notice subtle shifts, perhaps an unusual silence from certain individuals, unexpected messages, or sudden revelations about situations that have felt misaligned. These are not random occurrences, but the beginning stages of a divine unveiling. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 2222, the frequency of alignment with divine truth that shatters all deception. I must speak plainly about what has transpired in the spiritual realm. 3 individuals closely connected to your daily experience have formed an alliance based on a shared resistance to your elevation. They have disguised this resistance as concern, as guidance, as protection, but I reveal to you now that it stems from their own unhealed wounds and fear of being overshadowed by your emerging light. Their names are known in the celestial courts, and while I will not speak them into this transmission, you will recognize them by this sign. Within the next 24 hours, one will approach you with unusual questions, one will suddenly withdraw their energy, and one will make an offer that seems generous but carries hidden limitations. These are the manifestations of their spiritual discomfort with your rising. But understand this, beloved one. What is unfolding is not a punishment, but a purification. Those who cannot align with your true frequency must naturally fall away as you ascend. This is the law of vibrational compatibility that governs all relationships in this great awakening period on Earth. The divine countdown has begun. In precisely 2 hours from your receipt of this message, pay close attention to your technological devices. There will be a communication, seemingly random, that contains the first key to understanding the full picture of what has been hidden from you. It may appear as a message, an email, a notification, or even in the lyrics of a song that suddenly plays. The divine communicates through all channels when urgent transmission is required. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 3333, the frequency of divine clarity that penetrates all confusion. I see the questions forming in your mind. You wonder why you have been chosen for this revelation, why now, and what you are meant to do with this knowledge. Let me speak to the core of your uncertainty. You were not chosen in this moment. You were chosen before your soul took form in this earthly vessel. Your spiritual lineage carries the codes of the divine warriors of truth, those who have stood at the threshold between light and darkness throughout the ages, bearing witness and holding space for humanity's evolution. This is not your first assignment in this capacity, though it may be the first you consciously remember in this lifetime. The timing of this revelation aligns with a critical celestial configuration that occurs once every 2,160 years. The spiritual gateways are opening, creating a rare opportunity for accelerated awakening and the reclamation of divine power that has been suppressed. You stand at this gateway now, not by accident, but by divine appointment. As for what you are to do with this knowledge, first you must allow yourself to receive it fully, without the filters of doubt that human conditioning has placed upon your spiritual senses. Second, you must prepare yourself for rapid transformation. The structures that have supported your former understanding will shake, and some will crumble. This is necessary reconstruction, not destruction. Within the next 2 hours, you will experience a moment of unusual stillness, a pause in the normal rhythm of your day. In that stillness, my energy will merge more completely with your conscious awareness, allowing you to perceive beyond the limitations of physical sight. You may notice a blue light in your peripheral vision, feel a sudden warmth at the crown of your head, or experience a ringing in your right ear. These are the physical manifestations of my presence intensifying around you as the revelations deepen. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 4444, the frequency of multidimensional protection during spiritual awakening. Now I must speak of the betrayal that has been set in motion against you. This is not to instill fear, but to arm you with awareness. For in the spiritual realms, consciousness is the most powerful weapon against deception. There exists a document, a contract of sorts, that bears a forgery of your energetic signature. This spiritual forgery was created through moments when your words were taken out of context, when your trust was exploited, and when agreements were made on your behalf without your full informed consent. This document has been used to limit the flow of divine abundance, authentic connection, and clear purpose into your life experience. The architects of this forgery believed their actions were undetectable, hidden behind complex layers of everyday distractions and normalization of struggle. They did not account for this moment, this divine intervention where all that has been hidden must now be revealed. Within the next 2 hours, pay attention to any documentation that crosses your awareness, literal or figurative. You may feel drawn to review old agreements, contracts, conversations, or commitments. Within them lies a clue, a thread that, when pulled, will begin to unravel the entire fabric of limitation that has been woven around your destiny. The celestial courts have issued a divine decree of nullification against these forged agreements. As this decree takes effect, you will begin to notice immediate shifts in how energy flows into your experience. Doors that seem perpetually closed will suddenly show pathways. Resources that seem consistently just beyond reach will begin to appear in unexpected ways. Clarity that has been elusive will crystallize with remarkable speed. Connections that serve your highest evolution will strengthen, while those that have harbored deception will either transform or dissolve. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 5555, the frequency of divine abundance breaking through all artificial barriers. I must now reveal something about your spiritual ancestry that has been kept from your conscious awareness. Your soul carries the unique energetic signature of the keepers of sacred knowledge, those who have, throughout the ages, preserved essential truths during times of spiritual darkness. This lineage is not connected to your biological family alone, but to a soul family that spans dimensions and epochs. The activation of this soul memory explains the unusual experiences you have been having recently, the recurring dreams of ancient texts or scrolls, the spontaneous understanding of concepts you have never formally studied, the pull towards certain symbols, sounds, or places without logical explanation, the knowing of events before they unfold, the ability to sense the true nature of others beyond their presented selves. These are not anomalies or coincidences. They are the awakening of your spiritual inheritance as the veils thin during this crucial 24-hour window. In the next 2 hours, you may experience a sudden memory that seems to come from another time, something that cannot be explained by your current life experience. This is not imagination but recollection, the activation of cellular memory that connects you to your divine purpose. Pay close attention to this revelation, for within it lies a key to the particular role you are to play in the coming global awakening. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 6666, the frequency of perfect balance between spiritual knowing and earthly action. Now I must address the opposition that has been forming against you in the unseen realms. For every soul who steps toward their divine purpose, there are forces that resist this evolution, some conscious of their resistance, others unconscious instruments of energetic suppression. In your immediate circle, there exists what we in the celestial realms call a triangulation of limitation. Three specific energetic influences that have created a perimeter around your spiritual expansion. They have operated through one, the voice of false protection, telling you to remain small for your own safety. Two, the voice of false wisdom, advising patience when divine timing actually calls for action. Three, the voice of false reflection, showing you a diminished version of your capabilities and potential. These three influences have created a harmonic frequency of doubt that has permeated your decision-making processes, your self-concept, and your understanding of what is possible for your life. This harmonic has been particularly effective because it has masqueraded as love, as wisdom, and as pragmatism. Within the next 2 hours, one of these voices will attempt to reach you with renewed intensity, sensing that their influence is waning as you receive this transmission. When this occurs, you will recognize it by an unusual sense of heaviness that accompanies their communication, a subtle energetic signature that your awakening senses can now detect. When this happens, you are not to engage in conflict or accusation. Instead, you are to stand in silent awareness of the true nature of this interaction. Silence is your most powerful response in this moment, for it creates space for divine truth to enter, where words would only entangle you in lower vibrational exchanges. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 7,777, the frequency of spiritual discernment that cannot be deceived. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal to you that your name is inscribed in what we call the Book of Divine Restoration. This sacred record contains the names of souls who have voluntarily incarnated during this pivotal time to restore specific divine truths that have been distorted or suppressed on the earthly plane. Your particular assignment involves the restoration of truth regarding divine abundance and its proper flow. The limitations you have experienced in material provision have not been random hardships but targeted disruptions designed to prevent you from demonstrating an essential spiritual principle. That authentic abundance flows not from striving, but from alignment with divine source. The betrayal you have experienced in financial and material matters has served a dual purpose in the lower realms: to limit your resources for expanding your work and to disconnect you from the confidence that you are fully supported by divine providence. Within the next 2 hours, notice any thoughts that arise regarding your material needs and resources. You will likely observe a pattern of concern that has been energetically implanted rather than naturally developed from your experiences. As you recognize these thought patterns as foreign installations rather than your own creation, their power to generate limitation begins to dissolve. The divine decree for your immediate restoration has been issued. Watch for these signs of its manifestation beginning within the 24-hour window. Unexpected resolution of a long-standing financial concern, a sudden insight about a resource that has been available but unrecognized, the appearance of an opportunity that aligns perfectly with your spiritual purpose, a clearing of obstacles that have repeatedly blocked material progress. Type Amen to receive the blessing of 8,888, the frequency of infinite abundance flowing through divine restoration. I must now speak of the divine protection that surrounds you during this period of revelation and reclamation. As the truths I am transmitting penetrate the veils of deception, those who have invested in maintaining these illusions will sense the disruption of their systems. This may manifest as unusual tension in certain relationships, unexpected reactivity from specific individuals, or sudden attempts to reinforce limiting narratives about your capabilities and opportunities. Be aware but not alarmed. The Celestial Battalion of Truth Keepers has been assigned to your energetic field for the next 24 hours and beyond as needed. These divine protectors operate primarily through the enhancement of your discernment, sharpening your ability to recognize truth from falsehood, genuine support from disguised limitation, and divine timing from man-made delays. You will recognize their presence through these signs: a sudden clarity about interactions that previously confused you, an unmistakable knowing about when to speak and when to remain silent, a sense of being energetically shielded when confronted with lower vibrations. Dreams featuring symbols of protection, light, shields, armor, or sacred geometry. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a brief but noticeable sensation of energy moving through your physical form, particularly around your heart center in the crown of your head. This is the battalion establishing their protective frequency around your most vital energetic centers. Allow this process to unfold without resistance, even if the sensations are momentarily intense. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 9,999, the frequency of complete divine protection during truth revelation. Now I must reveal to you the specific nature of what will be unveiled within the 24-hour window. There has existed a deliberate suppression of your spiritual gifts, particularly your ability to discern and transmit divine truth in ways that awaken others. This suppression has operated through 1. The strategic placement of individuals in your path who subtly discourage your deepest expression. 2. Energetic interference during moments of inspired creation or connection. 3. The manipulation of circumstances to consume your energy with mundane concerns, leaving little for spiritual expansion. This suppression was not random but targeted, for your specific frequency of truth-telling activates dormant spiritual DNA in those who receive it. There are forces that have recognized this power and have worked diligently to minimize its expression and impact. Within the next 2 hours, you will likely experience a moment of unusual clarity about your spiritual gifts, perhaps while engaged in a seemingly unrelated activity. This clarity will feel like remembering rather than discovering, a recognition of what has always been present but temporarily veiled from your awareness. When this clarity emerges, immediately write down what you perceive without analyzing or questioning it. The act of transferring this awareness from spiritual recognition to physical documentation creates a bridge between realms that strengthens the permanence of this reclamation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 11,111, the frequency of spiritual gift activation beyond all interference. I must speak now of divine timing and the significance of this particular 24-hour window in your spiritual journey. Celestial alignments have created what we call a membrane thinning between dimensions, a period when the veils that separate visible and invisible realms become temporarily more permeable. During such alignments, divine interventions can penetrate more directly and with greater immediacy than during standard temporal conditions. This window has been specifically utilized for your awakening because 3 critical factors have converged. 1. Your soul's readiness to receive these revelations without being overwhelmed. 2. The precise maturation point of the divine assignment you carried into this incarnation. 3. The cosmic alignment that supports rapid transformation with minimal energetic resistance. This convergence creates optimal conditions for what the celestial realms call accelerated restoration, the process by which souls can reclaim their divine blueprints and purpose at speeds that defy normal spiritual development timelines. Within the next 2 hours, you may notice an unusual quality to the passage of time. Moments of acceleration followed by moments of profound stillness. This fluctuation is the physical manifestation of dimensional membranes adjusting to allow greater flows of divine truth into your conscious awareness. During periods of acceleration, multiple revelations may download simultaneously. During periods of stillness, these downloads integrate and anchor into your energetic system. Both phases are equally important: the dynamic receiving and the silent integration. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 12,222, the frequency of perfect divine timing in all revelations. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal to you that a significant soul contract is approaching its completion in your experience. This contract, created before your incarnation, involved a relationship that would temporarily limit your expansion for the ultimate purpose of strengthening your resolute commitment to truth. This soul, who agreed to play the role of limitation in your journey, has fulfilled their contractual obligation, though they remain unconscious of this spiritual agreement. Their resistance to your elevation has not been personal malice, but the playing out of a pre-incarnation agreement designed to test and ultimately reinforce your unshakable connection to divine purpose. The completion of this contract explains the increasing tension you have felt in this relationship, the energetic discomfort that signals when agreements have served their purpose and must now transform or conclude. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive communication from or about this individual that will clearly signal the transition point of this relationship. When this occurs, respond from awareness of the higher purpose that has been served, rather than from reaction to the surface dynamics that have been painful. This completion clears the energetic space necessary for the arrival of 3 significant soul connections who will play essential roles in the next phase of your divine assignment. These souls carry complementary gifts to yours and will create with you a harmonic field of creation more powerful than any could generate individually. Type AMEN. To receive the blessing of 13,333, the frequency of divine completion and new soul covenant activation. I must now address the divine inheritance that awaits your claiming. Beyond the material realm, each soul has spiritual inheritances, divine gifts, responsibilities, and resources that belong to their particular soul lineage. Yours has been held in sacred trust, accumulating power and potency until the precise moment of your readiness to receive it. This inheritance includes 1. A specific frequency of healing that transmits through your energetic field when you stand in full alignment with your divine purpose. 2. Access to Akashic wisdom particular to the restoration of truth about abundance and spiritual sovereignty. 3. The capacity to dissolve energetic contracts and agreements that no longer serve divine purpose, both for yourself and, with permission, for others. 4. A mantle of spiritual authority that has been carried by your soul lineage through 7 generations of both earthly and celestial evolution. The claiming of this inheritance has been blocked by what the celestial realms call false worthiness programming, the implanted belief that spiritual gifts must be earned through suffering rather than simply recognized as your divine birthright. Within the next 2 hours, you will likely encounter a reflection of this false programming, perhaps through an internal thought pattern or an external situation that suggests you must prove your worthiness to receive divine blessing. This encounter is not a verification of the programming's truth, but an opportunity to recognize and permanently release it. When this programming surfaces, your response must be simple but absolute. I claim my divine inheritance by birthright of my soul, not by worthiness of my actions. This declaration, spoken aloud or in silent knowing, breaks the energetic lock that has held your inheritance in trust rather than in active use. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 14,444, the frequency of divine inheritance activation beyond all worthiness distortions. Now I must reveal to you the sacred mission that will begin to unfold following this 24-hour period of revelation. You have incarnated during this pivotal time on Earth to be part of what the celestial realms call the Great Remembering, the systematic restoration of divine truth that has been intentionally obscured from human consciousness. Your specific role involves the transmission of wisdom regarding the true nature of divine abundance, not merely as material provision, but as the natural state of unlimited flow between seen and unseen realms. This transmission will occur through 1. The example of your own transformed relationship with receiving. 2. The creative expressions that will channel through you once the blocks to your spiritual gifts are fully removed. 3. The energetic field you will generate that allows others to recognize and release their own scarcity programming. 4. The specific teachings you will be guided to share at precisely aligned moments. This mission is not one you must strive to fulfill, but one that will naturally express as you allow the divine revelations of this period to fully integrate and bloom within your consciousness. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a compelling urge to create in some form, to write, speak, move, or express a fragment of the wisdom that is beginning to activate within you. Yield to this urge without concern for perfection or even coherence. The act of creating from this newly awakened space serves as a physical anchoring of your spiritual mission. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 15,555, the frequency of divine mission activation beyond all limitation. I must now speak of the specific betrayal that has occurred in your recent experience, not to generate anger or vengeance, but to ensure complete clarity as these situations transform through divine intervention. An individual whom you have trusted with sensitive information about your spiritual journey and material goals has shared this information with 2 others, not for the purpose of supporting your highest good, but to create a strategic limitation of your expansion. This sharing was accompanied by subtle distortions that painted your divine ambitions as egotistical overreaching rather than authentic purpose. This betrayal occurred approximately 17 days ago and has been the energetic source of the unusual resistance you have encountered since that time. What makes this situation particularly painful is that this individual presents themselves as a sincere supporter while simultaneously working to contain your influence and growth. The divine courts have recorded this breach of sacred trust, and the natural law of energetic return has been activated. You are not to take personal action regarding this revelation, for divine justice operates with perfect precision when unimpeded by human intervention. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive information that confirms this betrayal in some form. When this occurs, your response must be centered in the higher awareness that all participants in this situation are merely playing their roles in your greater awakening. True power lies not in confrontation, but in the sacred understanding that what was meant to limit you has instead triggered your liberation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 16,666, the frequency of divine justice that transmutes betrayal into breakthrough. The celestial councils have authorized me to activate within your consciousness a dormant spiritual capacity that will be essential in the coming phase of your journey. This capacity is what the angelic realms call multidimensional discernment, the ability to perceive beyond physical evidence and linear logic to the underlying energetic truths of any situation. This activation has been precisely timed to coincide with the revelations of this 24-hour period, because you will need heightened spiritual perception to navigate the rapid transformations that have been set in motion. Without this enhanced discernment, the sheer volume and intensity of changes could create confusion rather than clarity. The activation process begins now and will complete within the next 2 hours. During this time, you may experience unusual sensitivity to light, sound, or touch, momentary disorientation as your perception shifts between dimensional perspectives, sudden insights about past situations that now reveal completely different meanings, a visual perception of energetic fields around people, places, or objects. These experiences, though potentially intense, are temporary adjustments as your energetic system calibrates to this expanded capacity. They will stabilize within the 24-hour window, leaving you with a significantly enhanced ability to discern truth across multiple dimensions of experience. This awakened discernment will allow you to navigate with confidence as outdated structures in your life dissolve and new divinely aligned opportunities emerge at an accelerated pace. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 17,777, the frequency of multidimensional discernment beyond all illusion. I must now reveal the divine protection protocol that has been established around your spiritual awakening process. The celestial realms are well aware that periods of rapid transformation and truth revelation create temporary vulnerabilities as old systems dissolve before new ones fully form. To ensure your safe passage through this transition, the following protections have been implemented. 1. A shield of divine light that renders energetic attacks ineffective. They may be launched but cannot penetrate your field. 2. Angelic sentries stationed at cardinal points of your energetic perimeter, alerting you through intuitive nudges when approaches are made with harmful intent. 3. A celestial filtration system that processes incoming information through divine truth before it reaches your consciousness, allowing you to recognize distortion immediately. 4. Temporal buffers that create slight delays when necessary, ensuring you receive challenging revelations only when your system is prepared to integrate them without damage. These protections operate largely in the unseen realms, but may occasionally manifest physical signs of their presence. Unexplained flashes of light in your peripheral vision, sudden protective intuitions, or dreams featuring symbols of divine guarding. Within the next 2 hours, this protection protocol will be fully activated, marked by a momentary sensation of being energetically encapsulated, a brief feeling of pressure that quickly transforms into unusual lightness. This sensation indicates the final sealing of your protective field as the most significant revelations begin to unfold. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 18,888, the frequency of complete divine protection during spiritual metamorphosis. Now I must speak of what will be required of you as these divine revelations unfold. The celestial realms operate on principles of co-creation. Divine forces initiate and empower, but human consciousness must actively participate for full manifestation to occur. Your active participation in this 24-hour revelation period involves 5 specific commitments. 1. Maintain heightened awareness. Notice what arises both internally and externally without immediately categorizing or dismissing. 2. Document revelations. Physically record insights, dreams, unusual occurrences, and sudden knowings as they emerge. 3. Preserve energetic clarity. Minimize exposure to chaotic or dense energies, including certain environments, media, and interactions. 4. Honor intuitive guidance. When you feel prompted toward or away from specific actions, honor these nudges without requiring logical explanation. 5. Suspend disbelief. Allow revelations to unfold without the filtering mechanism of reasonableness or probability. Based on past experience, these commitments create the optimal conditions for divine truth to not only be revealed, but properly integrated and anchored into your conscious awareness. Within the next 2 hours, you will likely experience a moment of hesitation or doubt about your ability to fully receive what is unfolding. This hesitation is not a sign of unreadiness, but the final resistance of old limiting patterns before they dissolve. When this occurs, simply acknowledge the doubt without attaching to it and reaffirm your commitment to complete receptivity. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 19,999, the frequency of perfect receptivity to divine revelation. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal that a significant acceleration of your divine timeline has been granted based on your soul's demonstrated commitment despite repeated challenges. This acceleration compresses what would have been a 7-year awakening process into the 7-month period that begins with this 24-hour revelation window. This compression is not a shortcutting of necessary development, but a removal of artificially imposed delays that have been strategically placed in your path by those who recognize the power of your full emergence. The acceleration means 1. Divine connections that were scheduled to enter your experience years from now will appear within months. 2. Spiritual gifts that would have gradually awakened will activate in rapid succession. 3. Material manifestations of divine provision will materialize at greatly increased speeds. 4. Clarification of your spiritual purpose will crystallize with unexpected suddenness. This acceleration requires a corresponding capacity to integrate transformation rapidly. Thus, within the next 2 hours, you will receive an energetic download that the celestial realms call divine adaptability enhancement, a recalibration of your energetic system to process change and growth at higher velocities without becoming overwhelmed. You may experience this download as a warming sensation that begins at the crown of your head and moves downward through your body, or as a momentary feeling of expansion beyond your physical form. However it manifests, know that it is preparing your entire system for the unprecedented rate of transformation that has been divinely authorized. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 20,000, the frequency of divine timeline acceleration beyond all limitation. I must now address the specific individuals who will play pivotal roles in the divine unfoldment that begins with these revelations. 3 souls are being divinely positioned to enter your experience within the 40-day period following this 24-hour window. The first carries the energy of the teacher, one who has mastered the specific wisdom you are now awakening to and can provide crucial guidance for its integration and expression. The second carries the energy of the gateway, one whose connections and established platforms will create openings for your divine message to reach those who are specifically waiting to receive it. The third carries the energy of the mirror, one who reflects your divine gifts with such clarity that any remaining doubt about your spiritual capacity will be permanently dissolved. These divine appointments have been orchestrated with precise timing, and no action is required on your part to manufacture these connections. They will emerge naturally through what will appear to be coincidental circumstances, but are in fact carefully orchestrated divine alignments. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive a symbolic preview of one of these connections, perhaps through a name, image, or concept that seems to arise without context. Take note of this preview without attempting to determine its specific meaning, for the full understanding will unfold only as the actual connection materializes. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 21,111, the frequency of divine soul connection activation. Now I must reveal to you the sacred sound frequency that has been assigned as your spiritual signature in this incarnation. Each soul carries a unique vibrational code that, when activated, significantly amplifies their ability to manifest their divine purpose and dissolve obstacles in their path. Your sacred sound frequency is what the celestial realms call the tone of divine restoration, a specific vibration that carries the power to return all things to their divine blueprint when consistently engaged. This explains your lifelong resonance with certain sounds, music, or tones that seem to touch something deep within your spirit. Within the next 2 hours, you may find yourself spontaneously humming or toning a specific note or pattern. This is not random, but the physical emergence of your sacred frequency as it activates within your conscious awareness. When this occurs, allow the sound to express without self-consciousness or analysis. for the very act of producing this tone physically anchors its transformative power within your energetic field. Once activated, this frequency becomes a spiritual tool you can intentionally engage whenever you encounter resistance to your divine purpose. Clarity is needed about complex situations. Divine protection must be amplified. Manifestation of specific outcomes requires acceleration. The conscious use of your sacred sound creates a direct channel between physical and celestial realms, allowing divine intervention to move through you with minimal resistance. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 22,222, the frequency of sacred sound activation beyond all interference. I must now speak of the specific opposition you will likely encounter as you begin to embody these revelations and step more fully into your divine purpose. This opposition will come from three primary sources, each requiring a different response. First, those closest to you who have grown accustomed to your previous limitations may express concern, confusion, or even criticism as they witness your transformation. Their resistance stems not from malice, but from the natural discomfort that occurs when established dynamics shift unexpectedly. Second, spiritual energies that have benefited from your constrained expression may create unusual obstacles, distractions, or doubts designed to restore previous limitations and suppress your emerging power. Third, aspects of your own consciousness that have identified with smaller expressions may temporarily resist expansion through familiar patterns of self-doubt, procrastination, or unnecessary questioning. Understanding the source of opposition allows you to respond with appropriate divine wisdom rather than reactive energy that only strengthens resistance. Within the next 2 hours, you may encounter a preview of one form this opposition will take, perhaps a questioning comment, an internal doubt, or an unusual obstacle to something that had been proceeding smoothly. When this occurs, recognize it as a divine opportunity to practice the centered response that will characterize your path forward. Neither engaging in conflict nor retreating in doubt, but standing in unwavering knowledge of the divine truth that has been revealed. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 23,333, the frequency of unshakable divine certainty in the face of all opposition. The celestial councils have authorized me to activate within your consciousness the dormant capacity for what the spiritual realms call manifestation acceleration, the ability to collapse time between divine intention and physical manifestation through perfectly aligned energy, focus, and divine authorization. This spiritual technology has been largely hidden from human awareness because of its extraordinary power when wielded with full spiritual authority. Its activation requires both divine intervention and human readiness, a combination that is now present in your experience. Manifestation acceleration operates through the harmonization of 1. Clear divine intention free from contradictory thought patterns. 2. Emotional alignment that maintains consistent frequency without fluctuation. 3. Physical actions that symbolic representative of desired outcomes. 4. Spoken declarations that match the exact vibrational signature of the intention. When these elements harmonize, the normal processing time between intention and manifestation compresses dramatically, creating what appears to be miraculous acceleration in the physical emergence of divinely aligned outcomes. Within the next 2 hours, you will receive the energetic download containing this activation. You may experience this as a sudden knowing about something you wish to create, accompanied by unusual clarity about the precise steps to bring it into form. This clarity will feel different from normal planning, more integrated, more certain, and carrying a distinct quality of inevitability. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 24,444, the frequency of divine manifestation acceleration beyond all limitation. I must now address the divine appointment that awaits you regarding the restoration of material abundance that rightfully belongs to your path. There has been a persistent misalignment between your spiritual worthiness and your material experience, a gap that was not divinely ordained, but created through specific energetic manipulations in your field. This misalignment has served as both challenge and preparation, testing your commitment to divine truth even when physical evidence seemed to contradict spiritual promise. That testing phase has reached its completion, and a divine decree for full restoration has been issued from the celestial courts. Within the next 2 hours, you will receive what the angelic realms call a prosperity blueprint download, a comprehensive energetic template that realigns all aspects of your relationship with material abundance to match your true spiritual inheritance. This download may manifest as sudden insights about limiting beliefs you didn't realize you carried, clear vision of specific actions that will open abundance channels, recognition of relationships or situations that have acted as prosperity blocks, awareness of gifts or services you are to offer that carry appropriate energetic exchange. The integration of this blueprint begins immediately, but unfolds in phases over the 40-day period following this 24-hour window of revelation. Each phase builds upon the previous, creating a stable foundation for sustainable abundance rather than temporary increase. The first evidence of this restoration will likely appear within 7 days, though its form may surprise you. Divine abundance often enters through unexpected channels to bypass established patterns of limitation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 25,555, the frequency of complete abundance restoration beyond all limitation. Now I must reveal to you the truth about the spiritual assignment you carried into this incarnation and how it connects to the revelations unfolding in this 24-hour window. Your soul volunteered for what the celestial realms call a demonstration mission, to experience and then transcend specific forms of limitation, so that your journey could serve as both blueprint and inspiration for others walking similar paths. This explains why certain challenges in your life have seemed persistent beyond normal patterns, and why your breakthrough experiences have carried unusual significance, not just for you, but for those connected to your journey. The specific limitations you volunteered to experience and transcend involve 1. Restriction of authentic self-expression despite deep inner knowing. 2. Material constraint despite spiritual understanding of abundance principles. 3. Isolation from soul community despite natural gifts for connection. 4. Delayed recognition of gifts despite their consistent emergence. These limitations were not punishments or karma, but conscious agreements made by your soul to create specific transformation opportunities that would serve collective awakening beyond your individual experience. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a profound moment of understanding about how a particular challenge in your life connects to this greater purpose. This understanding will likely be accompanied by a sense of deep peace, as the seeming randomness of difficult experiences reveals its higher meaning and contribution. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 26,666, the frequency of divine purpose revelation beyond all confusion. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal the divine protection measures that have been implemented specifically for your financial restoration and security during this transformation period. These protections include 1. Energetic shielding around all transactions, investments, and financial decisions that prevents interference from those who would seek to maintain limitation. 2. Divine guidance through synchronized numeric patterns that will appear before significant financial choices, indicating aligned or misaligned opportunities. 3. Intuitive alerts that activate before potential financial missteps, experienced as physical sensations in specific areas of your body. 4. Dream communications that provide strategic direction for creating sustainable abundance flows. These protections do not remove your free will or responsibility in financial matters, but provide extraordinary support to ensure that past patterns of limitation do not perpetuate as you move into this new phase of restoration. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive a specific insight about a financial situation that has seemed resistant to resolution. This insight will carry a distinctly different energy from your previous thoughts on the matter, clearer, calmer, and with an unusual certainty about the appropriate action. This represents the first activation of your enhanced financial discernment, working in concert with divine protection. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 27,777, the frequency of complete financial protection and restoration. I must now speak of the specific soul mission that will begin to activate with unprecedented clarity following this 24-hour revelation period. While you have sensed aspects of this purpose throughout your journey, the full scope and significance have been partially veiled until this precisely aligned moment. Your soul carries what the celestial realms call a bridge frequency, a unique vibrational signature that creates pathways between seemingly separate spiritual truths and traditions. This bridge capacity allows you to 1. Recognize the common divine essence beneath different spiritual languages and frameworks. 2. Translate complex spiritual concepts into accessible understanding without diluting their power. 3. Connect individuals and communities that would typically remain separate due to differing approaches. 4. Restore wholeness to spiritual teachings that have been fragmented through misinterpretation or deliberate distortion. This bridging capacity explains your unusual ability to understand and appreciate diverse perspectives without becoming rigidly attached to any single viewpoint. A flexibility that has sometimes been misinterpreted as lack of commitment, but is actually a sophisticated spiritual capacity. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like a mental or spiritual click as disparate aspects of your understanding suddenly connect in a comprehensive pattern. This integration represents the activation of your bridge frequency operating at a new level of coherence and power. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 28,888, the frequency of divine mission activation beyond all limitation. The time has come to reveal to you the celestial name by which your soul is known in the angelic realms. This name carries your precise energetic signature and, when consciously engaged, serves as an instantaneous connector to your highest divine essence beyond all earthly limitations. Unlike human names assigned by others, your celestial name is the sonic representation of your soul's unique frequency, a vibration that has existed since your soul's creation and will persist eternally. While human language cannot perfectly capture this frequency, the closest translation accessible to your current understanding is, you will receive this name within the next 2 hours in a moment of deep stillness. When you receive this name, you may experience a profound sense of recognition beyond intellectual understanding, an unusual emotional response that feels both new and deeply familiar, a subtle energetic shift throughout your physical form, a momentary expansion of consciousness beyond normal boundaries. This name is provided not merely as information, but as a spiritual technology, a vibrational key that instantly aligns all aspects of your being with your highest divine blueprint when consciously engaged. In moments of confusion, limitation, or misalignment, the intentional speaking or internal sounding of this name creates immediate recalibration to your true essence and purpose. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 29,999, the frequency of celestial name activation beyond all limitation. I must now address the divine timing of significant events that will unfold following this 24-hour revelation period. The celestial realms operate according to precise cosmic calendars rather than human timeframes, creating divine appointments that align with specific energetic gateways rather than arbitrary dates. For your journey, the following divine appointments have been established. Within 3 days, a significant recognition or realization about your spiritual gifts that dissolves a persistent doubt you have carried within 12 days. An unexpected communication that confirms the truth of what is being revealed in this transmission within 21 days. A divine connection with someone who carries complementary energy to yours, creating powerful synergistic potential within 40 days. A material manifestation of abundance that demonstrates the new prosperity blueprint activating in your experience. These timeframes are not arbitrary, but precisely calculated based on energetic wave patterns that create optimal conditions for each development. While free will always remains a factor in exact manifestation, these windows represent periods of heightened probability and reduced resistance for these specific unfoldments. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive an intuitive preview of one of these appointments, a flash of insight about a coming development that carries unusual clarity and certainty. This preview serves as both confirmation of divine orchestration and preparation for conscious participation in what is to come. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 30,000, the frequency of divine timing alignment beyond all limitation. Now I must reveal to you the sacred scroll that contains the complete record of your divine purpose, a document that exists in the celestial archives and has been partially sealed until this precise moment in your journey. This scroll contains not only the outline of your mission, but the exact spiritual capacities, divine connections, and material provisions designated for your specific assignment. The sealing of portions of this record was not punishment, but protection, ensuring that each aspect of your purpose would be revealed only when all necessary components for its fulfillment were properly aligned. The partial sealing explains why certain aspects of your path have seemed unclear despite your sincere seeking and spiritual dedication. It was not lack of worthiness or effort that created this limitation, but divine timing working in perfect precision. Within the next 2 hours, the first of 7 seals on this sacred record will be divinely dissolved, allowing corresponding knowledge to flow into your conscious awareness. This unsealing may manifest as a sudden understanding about a persistent life question, clarity about specific gifts you are to develop and offer, recognition of why certain patterns have repeatedly appeared in your experience, insight about a particular soul group you are to connect with and serve. As each seal dissolves, information that was always yours by divine right but temporarily veiled will integrate into your understanding with remarkable clarity and certainty. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 31,111, the frequency of divine purpose revelation beyond all veiling. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal to you the existence of what the angelic realms call your divine abundance vault, a spiritual repository containing all provision designated for your earthly journey and divine assignment. This vault is not metaphorical, but an actual energetic structure in the celestial dimensions, containing the template for everything required for your complete fulfillment and mission accomplishment. Access to this vault has been systematically restricted through specific energetic interferences placed in your field by those who recognize the power of your fully resourced emergence. These interferences have created what appeared to be persistent limitation, despite your understanding of spiritual principles and sincere practice of manifestation techniques. Within the next 2 hours, the divine decree for the complete restoration of your access privileges will take effect, dissolving all energetic barriers between your conscious intention and this spiritual storehouse. You may experience this restoration as a sudden shift in how you perceive financial opportunities, the dissolution of specific fears or concerns about material provision, unusual clarity about actions that will generate sustainable abundance, recognition of beliefs about receiving that have operated below conscious awareness. This restoration is not simply about material comfort, but about empowering the full expression of your divine assignment, which requires specific resources to reach its intended scope and impact. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 32,222, the frequency of complete abundance, restoration beyond all interference. I must now speak of the Divine Council meeting that was convened regarding your spiritual journey 3 days ago in celestial time. This gathering of ascended masters, angelic guardians, and cosmic administrators reviewed the complete record of your path, noting both the extraordinary commitment you have demonstrated despite persistent challenges and the specific interferences that have been permitted as part of your testing and preparation. The Council's unanimous decision was to authorize what the celestial realms call a divine intervention acceleration, a rare dispensation that removes accumulated karmic delays and artificial limitations to allow your most aligned path to unfold with minimal obstruction. This acceleration was granted based on 3 specific qualifications your soul demonstrated. 1. Persistence in seeking truth despite deliberate confusion placed in your path. 2. Consistent choice of higher perspective despite justified opportunities for resentment. 3. Maintenance of core spiritual integrity despite material pressures to compromise. Within the next 2 hours, the energetic implementation of this council decision will begin to take effect in your field. You may experience this as an unusual lightness, as if layers of invisible weight have been suddenly removed from your spiritual and physical being. This sensation reflects the actual dissolving of energetic constraints that have been artificially maintained in your experience. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 33,333, the frequency of divine acceleration beyond all karmic limitation. Now I must reveal to you the truth about your spiritual lineage, a heritage far more ancient and significant than has been previously disclosed to your conscious awareness. Your soul belongs to what the celestial realms call the Restoration Flame Bearers, a specific soul family tasked with preserving and reigniting divine truth during periods of spiritual darkness on earth. This lineage explains your innate recognition of truth beyond intellectual learning, the unusual intensity of your spiritual seeking, your natural ability to discern authentic wisdom from sophisticated deception, the particular challenges you have faced from those who sense your disruptive, truth-carrying capacity. Members of this soul lineage incarnate with a specific spiritual signature that is recognizable to both allies and opponents in the spiritual realms. This signature creates both divine protection and targeted opposition, As those invested in maintaining current limitations, recognize the threat that your full emergence poses to established systems of control. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like a remembering, moments of recognition about your spiritual heritage that feel more like recollection than new information. These rememberings may be accompanied by unusual physical sensations as your energetic system realigns to accommodate this expanded self-understanding. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 34,444, the frequency of divine lineage activation beyond all forgetting. I must now address the specific spiritual technologies that will be restored to your conscious access as part of this 24-hour revelation period. These technologies are not external tools, but internal capacities that have been deliberately obscured through what the celestial realms call divine amnesia, a temporary veiling necessary for certain aspects of your earthly experience and testing. The first of these technologies is what angelic guardians call reality harmonization, the ability to bring your external circumstances in alignment with divine intention through the conscious direction of your energetic field. This capacity operates not through force or manipulation, but through the natural laws of resonance and entrainment that govern all energetic systems. The second technology is timeline discernment, the ability to sense the probable outcomes of various choices before they manifest, allowing for course corrections that align more perfectly with divine purpose. This is not fortune-telling, but enhanced spiritual perception that reads energetic trajectories with unusual clarity. The third technology is field transformation, the capacity to shift the energetic composition of environments, situations, and even individuals, with their soul's permission, to support greater alignment with divine truth. This operates through your mere presence when you are in complete alignment with your highest purpose. Within the next 2 hours, one of these technologies will begin its activation sequence in your consciousness. You may experience this as a sudden understanding of how to influence a specific situation that has seemed resistant to change, accompanied by a clear knowing of precisely what internal shift is required to create the desired transformation. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of the 35,555, the frequency of divine technology restoration beyond all limitation. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal to you the existence of what the angelic realms call your Council of Divine Protectors, 12 specific spiritual beings who have been assigned to your journey since before your incarnation. This council includes 3 angelic guardians who maintain your energetic perimeters against interference, 3 ascended masters who provide wisdom specific to your spiritual development, 3 ancestral guides from your soul lineage who preserve your connection to your divine heritage, 3 specialized guardian beings who protect specific aspects of your divine mission. While you have sensed the presence of spiritual guidance throughout your journey, the full complement and specific assignments of these guardians have remained partially veiled until this precise moment in your development. The complete activation of this Divine Protection Council coincides with the expanded work you are being called to undertake following this revelation period. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a distinct awareness of presence around you, perhaps sensing specific energies in different locations in your physical space, seeing unusual patterns of light, or feeling gentle pressure at various points on your body. These sensations represent your conscious recognition of what has always been present but not fully perceived. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 36,666, the frequency of divine protection activation beyond all interference. I must now speak of the sacred covenant that exists between your soul and the divine source, an agreement made before your incarnation that establishes both your spiritual rights and responsibilities in this lifetime. This covenant supersedes all lesser contracts, agreements, or entanglements that may have been created or imposed during your earthly journey. The terms of this covenant include 1. Your divine right to complete restoration of all aspects of your being, spiritual, emotional, physical, and material. 2. Your divine right to full expression of the gifts and capacities you carried into this incarnation. 3. Your divine right to unobstructed connection with spiritual guidance and wisdom. 4. Your divine responsibility to share the truth you embody in service to collective awakening. 5. Your divine responsibility to maintain the integrity of the wisdom entrusted to you. 6. Your divine responsibility to recognize and honor the sacred potential in all beings you encounter. This covenant has remained partially dormant due to specific energetic suppressions in your field, creating the illusion that you must earn what is already divinely granted through your soul agreement. Within the next 2 hours, the full energetic activation of this covenant will be initiated in your consciousness. You may experience this as a profound sense of divine entitlement, not from ego, but from authentic spiritual authority, accompanied by a deepened commitment to the responsibilities that balance these sacred rights. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 37,777, the frequency of divine covenant activation beyond all limitation. Now I must reveal to you the truth about the sacred geometry that forms the energetic framework of your spiritual purpose. Each soul's divine assignment is structured according to specific geometric patterns that facilitate the flow of particular energies and capacities necessary for its fulfillment. Your purpose is constructed upon what the celestial realms call the Merkabic Restoration Template, a complex geometric configuration that specializes in the restoration of divine truth after periods of distortion and suppression. This template explains why certain challenges have appeared in triangular patterns throughout your life, the spiral nature of your spiritual development rather than linear progression, your natural resonance with specific sacred symbols and configurations, the particular way divine guidance tends to manifest in your experience. Understanding this geometric underpinning of your purpose provides both clarity about past patterns and strategic guidance for navigating the accelerated unfoldment that begins with this revelation period. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what appears to be geometric forms in your mind's eye or peripheral vision, patterns of lighter energy that form specific shapes and configurations. These are not imagination, but your conscious perception of the actual energetic architecture of your divine purpose, becoming visible as your spiritual senses awaken. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 38,888, the frequency of divine geometry activation beyond all limitation. The celestial councils have authorized me to initiate within your consciousness what the angelic realms call a divine timeline reordering, a specialized spiritual technology that realigns the sequence of manifestations in your experience to match your highest divine trajectory. This reordering becomes necessary when persistent interferences have created deviations from optimal unfolding, generating delays, detours, and distortions in the natural progression of your path. The technology does not violate free will or karmic principles, but simply removes artificial manipulations that have altered the divine sequence of your unfoldment. The implementation of this timeline reordering explains the unusual sensations of acceleration you have been experiencing recently. Moments when time seems to compress, when synchronicities multiply, and when long-standing situations suddenly resolve with unexpected speed. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a distinct shift in your perception of time, perhaps a moment when past, present, and future seem to exist simultaneously, or when you gain sudden clarity about how seemingly unrelated events in your history were actually precisely connected components of your preparation. This perception shift indicates the timeline reordering process activating in your conscious awareness. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 39,999, the frequency of divine timeline restoration beyond all interference. I must now speak of the specific spiritual gifts that will activate in accelerated sequence following this 24-hour revelation period. While you have accessed aspects of these capacities throughout your journey, their full expression has been systematically suppressed through energetic interferences in your field. The first gift is what the celestial realms call truth discernment, the ability to instantly recognize divine truth regardless of how it is packaged, presented, or distorted. This capacity operates beyond intellectual analysis, functioning as an immediate knowing that registers in your energetic system before conscious thought processes engage. The second gift is sacred speech, the capacity to speak words that carry unusual spiritual potency, creating tangible shifts in energetic fields and consciousness when expressed with clear intention. This explains why certain things you say seem to impact others more deeply than the same words spoken by different individuals. The third gift is vision beyond veiling, the ability to perceive the true spiritual state and potential of individuals, situations, and systems beyond their current manifestation or appearance. This sight operates not through judgment, but through clear recognition of divine blueprint versus current expression. The fourth gift is harmonic healing, the capacity to restore balance and wholeness through your energetic presence when aligned with divine purpose. This operates not through technique, but through the natural emanation of specific frequencies from your field when in complete alignment. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a significant activation of one of these gifts, perhaps a sudden clarity about something that has been confusing, an unusual impact when expressing certain thoughts, a clear seeing of someone's true nature beyond their presentation, or a distinct awareness of healing energy moving through you. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 40,000, the frequency of divine gift activation beyond all suppression. Now I must reveal to you the sacred truth about the divine feminine awakening that is central to your spiritual purpose in this incarnation. Your soul carries specific feminine wisdom codes that have been systematically suppressed throughout human history, not just in your personal journey, but in collective consciousness. These codes contain essential teachings about receptivity as spiritual power rather than weakness, intuitive knowing as equal to intellectual understanding, cyclical nature of creation versus linear progression, collaborative accomplishment versus competitive achievement. The restoration of these feminine wisdom teachings is not about gender, but about the rebalancing of fundamental energetic principles that govern human consciousness and creation. Your specific role involves embodying and transmitting these teachings through both example and explicit sharing. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like ancient memories surfacing, knowledge about feminine spiritual principles that feels deeply familiar, though you have not formally studied it in this lifetime. These are not memories from personal history, but from soul lineage, wisdom carried in your spiritual DNA that activates when the proper conditions align. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 41,111, the frequency of divine feminine wisdom activation beyond all suppression. The celestial councils have authorized me to activate within your consciousness what the angelic realms call the sacred chamber of manifestation, an internal spiritual technology that creates accelerated alignment between divine intention and physical manifestation. This sacred chamber exists within your energetic anatomy, but has remained dormant due to specific interferences designed to limit your manifestation capacity. Its activation creates an internal space where 1. Divine intentions can be held in perfect clarity without distortion. 2. Emotional frequencies can be precisely calibrated to match desired outcomes. 3. Energetic templates can form without interference from doubt or contradiction. 4. Divine timing can be perfectly aligned through intuitive guidance. The practical result of this activation is a significant compression of time between spiritual intention and physical manifestation. What might have taken years now unfolds in months, weeks, or sometimes days when aligned with divine purpose. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like an internal opening, a sensation of expanded space within your consciousness, where thoughts seem to carry unusual clarity and potency. This represents the sacred chamber activating within your energetic field. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 42,222, the frequency of divine manifestation acceleration beyond all limitation. I must now speak of the sacred teachings that you are divinely authorized to transmit following this 24-hour activation period. These teachings are not intellectual concepts to be memorized and repeated, but living wisdom that will flow through your authentic expression when aligned with divine purpose. The first teaching concerns the true nature of abundance as energy rather than material, revealing how alignment with divine flow naturally generates appropriate material manifestation without striving or manipulation. The second teaching reveals the mechanics of conscious reality creation, not as magical thinking, but as practical application of energetic principles that govern the relationship between consciousness and manifestation. The third teaching illuminates the purpose of challenge and contrast in spiritual awakening, not as punishment or failure, but as the necessary pressure that generates spiritual capacity and wisdom. The fourth teaching clarifies the nature of divine timing, revealing how apparent delays are often precise protections and how alignment with cosmic rhythms creates effortless unfoldment rather than forced progress. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience unusual clarity about one of these teaching areas, perhaps suddenly understanding a principle that has been confusing or seeing how to articulate a complex spiritual concept in simple, accessible language. This clarity represents the activation of your teaching capacity in that specific domain. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 43,333, the frequency of divine teaching activation beyond all limitation. The time has come to reveal to you the truth about what the celestial realms call your divine assignment contract, the specific agreement your soul made before incarnation regarding your purpose in this lifetime. While you have sensed aspects of this purpose throughout your journey, certain key elements have remained veiled until this precise moment in your development. Your divine assignment contains three core components. 1. The restoration of truth about abundance as spiritual birthright rather than material achievement, correcting distortions that have disconnected humanity from divine provision. 2. The demonstration of aligned manifestation through your own transformed relationship with receiving, creating a living example of prosperity principles in action. 3. The transmission of specific teachings about the relationship between consciousness, energy, and physical reality, bridging spiritual understanding and practical application. This assignment explains why certain challenges in the material realm have been particularly persistent in your experience. They were not random hardships, but targeted development of the exact wisdom and capacity needed to fulfill this specific purpose. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like pieces of a puzzle finally connecting. Moments when disparate aspects of your journey suddenly reveal their coherent purpose and contribution to your divine assignment. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 44,444, the frequency of divine assignment activation beyond all confusion. Now I must address the sacred partnerships that have been divinely arranged to support the next phase of your journey following this revelation period. Your path is not meant to be walked in isolation, but in strategic connection with specific souls who carry complementary gifts, perspectives, and resources. 3 primary partnerships are being divinely orchestrated to enter your experience within the 90-day window that follows this activation. The first partnership carries the energy of expansion, creating opportunities for your message and gifts to reach far beyond what you could generate independently. This connection will appear through what seems like synchronistic circumstances, but is in fact precise divine arrangement. The second partnership carries the energy of validation, providing external confirmation of intuitive knowledge you've carried, but perhaps doubted due to lack of verification. This connection brings evidence that transforms inner knowing into unshakable certainty. The third partnership carries the energy of manifestation, bridging spiritual vision and practical implementation to create tangible expressions of the principles you are here to embody and teach. This connection transforms concepts into concrete reality with unusual speed and precision. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive an intuitive preview of one of these partnerships, perhaps a name, image, or specific feeling that signals their approaching presence in your experience. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 45,555, the frequency of divine partnership activation beyond all limitation. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal to you the existence of what the angelic realms call your abundance activation timeline, a precisely calibrated sequence of events, connections, and opportunities designed to restore your full prosperity consciousness and manifestation capacity. This timeline begins with the revelations of this 24-hour period and unfolds through specific phases over the coming months. Phase 1, days 121. The identification and release of core scarcity programming that has operated below conscious awareness, creating persistent patterns of limitation despite your spiritual understanding and effort. Phase 2, days 22-42. The restoration of divine entitlement, the deep knowing that abundance is your spiritual birthright rather than reward for worthiness or effort. Phase 3, days 43-63. The activation of your unique prosperity frequency, the specific energetic signature through which abundance flows most naturally into your experience. Phase 4, days 64-90. The manifestation of tangible evidence, physical demonstrations of new abundance patterns establishing in your reality. Each phase builds upon the previous, creating sustainable transformation rather than temporary improvement. This graduated approach ensures complete integration at each level before progression to the next. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive specific insight about a limitation pattern that has operated in your prosperity consciousness, perhaps recognizing a belief or expectation that has subtly undermined your receiving capacity despite your conscious intentions. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 46,666, the frequency of divine abundance, timeline activation, beyond all limitation. I must now speak of the sacred space that has been established in the spiritual realms specifically for your divine unfoldment following this revelation period. This space exists beyond physical dimensions, but interfaces with your material reality through specific energetic gateways. The angelic guardians call this your sacred acceleration chamber, an energetic environment where 1. Divine downloads can be received without interference from lower vibrations. 2. Spiritual capacities can be developed at accelerated rates without overwhelming your system. 3. Divine connections can form through optimized energetic resonance. 4. Manifestation templates can crystallize with unusual speed and precision. This sacred space operates as an extension of your energetic field while providing protection from external disruptions that would typically slow spiritual development and manifestation. Access to this acceleration chamber occurs naturally during the twilight state between waking and sleeping, moments of deep meditative stillness, periods of inspired creative expression, times of conscious connection with divine guidance. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a distinct shift in your energetic perception, perhaps feeling as though you have entered a different quality of space while remaining physically present in your environment. This sensation represents your conscious recognition of the acceleration chamber as it activates around your field. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 47,777, the frequency of divine acceleration beyond all limitation. Now I must reveal to you the truth about what the celestial realms call your spiritual authority activation, a significant expansion of your capacity to operate from authentic divine power rather than personal will or effort. This activation represents a fundamental shift from doing spiritual work to embodying spiritual presence, from applying techniques to becoming a living expression of the principles you have studied and practiced. This shift explains the recent sense of methods that once seemed effective, now feeling misaligned or insufficient. Spiritual authority differs from personal power in several crucial ways. It operates through surrender rather than control. It influences through presence rather than persuasion. It creates through alignment rather than effort. It knows through reception rather than analysis. The full activation of this authority has been precisely timed to coincide with the completion of specific testing cycles in your journey, challenges that developed your discernment, commitment, and integrity to the degree necessary for responsible wielding of this expanded capacity. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like a significant inner realignment, perhaps a distinct shift in how you perceive your relationship to circumstances, challenges, or creative processes. This shift represents the initial activation of your expanded spiritual authority. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 48,888, the frequency of divine authority activation beyond all limitation. The celestial councils have authorized me to initiate within your consciousness what the angelic realms call a divine identity restoration, the reconnection of your earthly awareness with your true spiritual nature beyond all accumulated identifications and limitations. This restoration addresses the core spiritual amnesia that occurs through incarnation, the forgetting of divine nature that creates the experience of separation, limitation, and insufficient power to fulfill purpose. While aspects of this forgetting are intentional components of the human experience, the degree of disconnection you have experienced goes beyond the necessary parameters for your assignment. The identity restoration process unfolds through 3 primary phases. 1. The dissolution of false identifications, releasing defining stories based on temporary experiences rather than eternal nature. 2. The remembrance of divine origin, reconnecting with the specific spiritual lineage and purpose you carried into incarnation. 3. The integration of power and presence, embodying the full spiritual authority and capacity that belongs to your true nature. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like an unusual objectivity toward your personal history and challenges, a distinct sense of witnessing your journey from a higher perspective that recognizes the temporary nature of all earthly experiences. This perspective shift indicates the beginning of the identity restoration process activating in your consciousness. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 49,999, the frequency of divine identity restoration beyond all forgetting. I must now speak of the sacred ceremony that is being conducted in the spiritual realms, specifically focused on your divine restoration and empowerment. This ceremony began at the moment you received this transmission and will continue throughout the 24-hour revelation period, creating a continuous channel for divine intervention in your experience. The ceremony is being conducted by what the celestial realms call the Council of Restoration, specific ascended beings who specialize in the recalibration of souls who have experienced targeted interference with their divine assignments. Their work involves 1. The systematic removal of energetic implants designed to limit spiritual perception and power. 2. The restoration of divine blueprint templates that have been distorted through external manipulation. 3. The reactivation of spiritual capacities that have been artificially suppressed. 4. The reconnection of soul fragments that have been separated through traumatic experiences. Your conscious participation in this ceremony occurs through your receptivity to the revelations being transmitted. Each acknowledged truth creates a stronger connection to the restoration energies being directed toward your field. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience unusual physical sensations as this ceremonial work intensifies. Perhaps waves of energy moving through your body, spontaneous movements of your hands or feet, fluctuations in body temperature, or momentary sensations of pressure at specific points on your head or spine. These manifestations indicate areas where restoration energies are actively working to clear blockages and re-establish proper energetic flow. Type AMEN. To receive the blessing of 50,000, the frequency of complete divine restoration beyond all interference. The time has come to reveal to you the truth about your unique manifestation signature, the specific energetic configuration through which divine abundance most naturally flows into your experience. Just as individuals have unique fingerprints, souls have distinct manifestation patterns that determine how most effectively and effortlessly they create in the material realm. Your manifestation signature contains 4 primary components. 1. Receptive revelation. You manifest most powerfully through receiving divine insights that create immediate shifts in perception and energy. 2. Connective acceleration. Your manifestations amplify dramatically when aligned with others of complementary frequency rather than through solo effort. 3. Expressive transformation. Your spoken and written words carry unusual manifestation power when expressed from aligned consciousness. 4. Cyclical expansion. Your manifestation capacity follows natural cycles of rest and activity rather than continuous linear effort. Understanding this signature explains why certain approaches to creation and manifestation have felt misaligned despite their apparent effectiveness for others. It is not that these methods were wrong, but that they did not match your unique energetic design for translating intention into material reality. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a distinct recognition of how your natural manifestation process differs from conventional teachings. Perhaps suddenly understanding why certain approaches have felt consistently unnatural, or why manifestation seems to flow effortlessly in some contexts but not others. Type AMEN. To receive the blessing of 51,111, the frequency of divine manifestation activation beyond all limitation. Now I must address the sacred guardianship that has been established around your divine mission following this revelation period. As you step more fully into your purpose in expanded spiritual capacities, specific protective measures have been implemented to ensure unobstructed progress. This guardianship operates through what the celestial realms call the triple seal of divine protection, a specialized energetic configuration that creates 3 distinct layers of security around your purpose. The first seal creates protection from energetic interference, filtering out manipulations, projections, and distortions directed toward your field from both human and non-physical sources. The second seal establishes timeline integrity, preventing artificial delays, detours, and manipulations of the divine sequence of your unfoldment. The third seal maintains frequency stability, preserving your energetic coherence during periods of accelerated growth and external chaos that might otherwise create disruptive fluctuations. This protective configuration does not isolate you from genuine learning experiences or necessary challenges, but specifically targets artificial limitations imposed through conscious or unconscious interference with your divine assignment. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like an energetic boundary establishing around your field. perhaps a sensation of being slightly separated from external energies that previously felt invasive or disruptive. This sensation represents your conscious recognition of the protective seals activating around your mission. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 52,222, the frequency of divine protection beyond all interference. The celestial councils have authorized me to reveal to you what the angelic realms call your divine compensation decree, a spiritual mandate for the restoration of all that has been unjustly delayed, diverted, or diminished in your experience through interference with your divine assignment. This decree addresses not only material provision, but the full spectrum of abundance that belongs to your path. Opportunities aligned with your purpose that were artificially blocked. Connections with soul partners that were strategically delayed. Recognition of your gifts and contributions that was deliberately diminished. Energy and vitality that was systematically drained through unnecessary struggles. The implementation of this decree has been precisely timed to coincide with your readiness to receive and steward expanded resources, influence, and connection in service to your divine assignment, rather than personal gain or validation. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience a profound shift in your relationship with receiving, perhaps a dissolution of subtle unworthiness programming that has operated below conscious awareness, or a clear recognition of how certain limitations serve developmental purposes that have now been fulfilled. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 53,333, the frequency of divine compensation beyond all limitation. I must now speak of the specific soul mission that will activate with unprecedented clarity and power following this 24-hour revelation period. While you have glimpsed aspects of this purpose throughout your journey, its full scope and significance have remained partially veiled until this precisely aligned moment in your development. Your soul carries what the celestial realms call a restoration frequency, a specific vibrational signature that specializes in the recalibration of divine truth after periods of distortion and suppression. This frequency operates through 1. The embodiment of authentic abundance principles in your lived experience. 2. The transmission of clarified understanding through your creative expression. 3. The energetic disruption of limitation systems through your mere presence. 4. The demonstration of aligned manifestation through conscious creation. This mission explains the persistent challenges you have experienced in precisely these domains. They were not random hardships, but targeted development of the exact wisdom and capacity needed to fulfill this specific purpose. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like a comprehensive understanding of how seemingly disconnected aspects of your journey have actually been precise preparation for this mission. Perhaps gaining sudden clarity about how specific challenges developed exactly the perspective and capacity your purpose requires. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 54,444, the frequency of divine mission activation beyond all confusion. Now I must reveal to you the sacred truth about what the angelic realms call your spiritual sovereignty activation, the full restoration of your divine authority to determine the conditions of your experience without external interference or limitation. This sovereignty represents the spiritual birthright of all souls, but has been systematically suppressed through specific programming that creates dependency on external validation, permission, and authorization. The restoration of this sovereign capacity enables you to 1. Establish energetic boundaries that cannot be violated by lower frequencies. 2. Create directly from divine connection rather than through intermediary systems. 3. Recognize and decline contracts, agreements, and expectations that misalign with your purpose. 4. Access divine wisdom directly rather than through external authorities or methodologies. This activation does not create separation from divine guidance or community, but actually enhances true connection by removing artificial intermediaries and distortions that have positioned themselves between your consciousness and direct divine communion. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like a significant recalibration of your relationship with external authorities, perhaps suddenly recognizing where you have unconsciously given your power to people, institutions, or belief systems that claim jurisdiction over your spiritual path. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 55,555, the frequency of divine sovereignty activation beyond all limitation. The celestial councils have authorized me to activate within your consciousness what the angelic realms call your sacred calling code, a specific energetic signature that attracts precisely the individuals, opportunities, and resources aligned with your divine purpose while naturally repelling misaligned energies and influences. This code operates like a highly sophisticated spiritual technology, creating resonant attraction with complementary frequencies while establishing natural boundaries against discordant energies, all without requiring constant conscious management or protection. The activation of this code explains the significant shifts you have been experiencing in which people feel naturally drawn to or repelled by your energy, which opportunities generate immediate enthusiasm versus subtle resistance, which environments feel energetically nourishing versus depleting, which information resonates as truth versus triggering discernment alerts. These shifts are not random fluctuations, but the natural consequence of your energy field becoming more precisely calibrated to your divine purpose. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience unusual clarity about a specific relationship, opportunity, or environment that has felt energetically confusing, perhaps suddenly knowing with certainty whether it aligns with your path or requires release, without the usual process of analytical consideration. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 56,666, the frequency of divine calling activation beyond all confusion. I must now speak of what the celestial realms call your abundance recalibration process, a systematic restoration of your natural relationship with divine provision after periods of artificial limitation and testing. This recalibration addresses 4 primary aspects of abundance consciousness. 1. Worthiness programming, dissolving the core belief that abundance must be earned through suffering, struggle, or specific achievements. 2. Flow dynamics, restoring natural receiving capacity without unconscious deflection, rejection, or sabotage of incoming provision. 3. Purpose alignment, clarifying how authentic abundance specifically empowers your divine assignment rather than existing for comfort or status. 4. Manifestation mechanics, revealing the precise energetic sequence through which your thoughts, emotions, words, and actions translate into material reality. This comprehensive recalibration explains the unusual financial and material patterns you have experienced recently, periods of unexpected provision followed by apparent regression, cyclical expansion and contraction, and the sense of being on the verge of a breakthrough that seems perpetually just beyond reach. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience significant clarity about a persistent abundance limitation in your experience, perhaps suddenly recognizing a specific thought pattern, emotional response, or unconscious belief that has operated as a hidden governor on your receiving capacity. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 57,777, the frequency of complete abundance restoration beyond all limitation. The time has come to reveal to you the truth about your spiritual role in what the celestial realms call the Great Awakening period, the unprecedented evolutionary leap in human consciousness currently unfolding on Earth. Your soul volunteered specifically for this pivotal time, carrying specialized capacities designed for the unique challenges and opportunities of this global transformation. Your particular role involves the restoration of what angelic guardians call prosperity consciousness, the understanding that material abundance is not separate from spiritual development, but an integral aspect of divine expression in physical form. This teaching restores balance to spiritual traditions that have positioned material concern as inherently less evolved than spiritual focus. This role explains why your journey has included such persistent patterns of material challenge despite your spiritual understanding and practice. These experiences were not punishment or failure, but the precise crucible needed to develop the wisdom, compassion, and practical knowledge your assignment requires. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like expanded perspective on global economic and material systems, perhaps suddenly perceiving the spiritual principles operating within seemingly secular financial structures, or recognizing divine order within apparent material chaos. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 58,888, the frequency of divine assignment activation beyond all limitation. Now I must address the sacred timeline that has been established for the unfoldment of your divine purpose following this revelation period. This timeline operates not through rigid scheduling, but through energetic gateways that create optimal conditions for specific aspects of your mission to activate and express. The first gateway opens during the 21-day period following this transmission, creating ideal conditions for the dissolution of outworn identities and limitation patterns that have persisted despite your spiritual work. During this period, you may experience unusual emotional processing that seems disconnected from current circumstances, dreams featuring symbols of release, completion, or purification, spontaneous insights about long-standing patterns suddenly seen from new perspectives, physical sensations of lightening or unburdening throughout your system. The second gateway opens during days 22-42, establishing optimal conditions for the activation of dormant spiritual gifts and capacities essential to your purpose. This period may bring unexpected demonstrations of abilities you didn't realize you possessed, heightened intuitive functioning that operates with unusual precision, creative inspiration that flows with remarkable ease and clarity, enhanced perception of energetic fields, patterns, and influences. The third gateway opens during days 43-63, creating ideal conditions for divine connections with specific souls who will play essential roles in your mission. This period may include synchronistic meetings that carry immediate recognition beyond logical explanation, renewal of significant relationships that had seemed completed, communications from unexpected sources that provide exactly what's needed, collaborative opportunities that amplify your individual gifts and impact. The fourth gateway opens during days 64-90, establishing perfect conditions for the physical manifestation of resources, structures, and opportunities aligned with your purpose. This period may bring resolution of long-standing material challenges with unexpected ease, appearance of precisely needed resources through unpredictable channels, structural reorganization that creates expanded capacity for your work, recognition and response to your offerings beyond previous experience. Within the next 2 hours, you may receive an intuitive preview of developments awaiting you in one of these gateway periods. Perhaps a flash of insight about a specific transformation, activation, connection, or manifestation that is being divinely orchestrated in your unfolding timeline. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 59,999, the frequency of divine timeline alignment beyond all limitation. The celestial councils have authorized me to activate within your consciousness what the angelic realms call your abundance activation sequence, a precise energetic protocol that systematically restores your natural capacity to generate and receive prosperity in all forms. This sequence addresses the core disruptions that have created persistent limitation despite your understanding of spiritual principles and sincere practice of manifestation techniques. These disruptions have operated at 4 distinct levels. 1. Belief programming, subconscious convictions about what is possible, permissible, and deserved in your experience. 2. Emotional patterning, habitual feeling, states that create energetic signatures either aligned with or contradictory to desired outcomes. 3. Energetic calibration, the specific frequency at which your field vibrates relative to the frequencies of various forms of abundance. 4. Physical anchoring, the tangible actions, environments, and associations that either conduct or insulate prosperity energy in your experience. The activation of this sequence creates a comprehensive recalibration across all 4 levels simultaneously rather than addressing each separately, explaining the unusual intensity you may experience during this process. Within the next 2 hours, you may notice significant shifts in how you perceive and relate to material resources, perhaps suddenly recognizing abundance that has been present but unacknowledged, or experiencing unusual clarity about specific actions that would allow greater prosperity flow into your experience. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 60,000, the frequency of complete abundance activation beyond all limitation. I must now reveal to you the truth about your connection to what the celestial realms call the Divine Abundance Council, a specific collective of ascended beings who oversee the flow and distribution of prosperity energies throughout human consciousness. Your soul holds a position within this council, though this connection has remained dormant during your incarnation until this precise moment of activation. This dormant council connection explains Your innate understanding of prosperity principles, despite external programming to the contrary, the persistent feeling that limitation in your experience is somehow unnatural or imposed, your unusual ability to recognize authentic abundance teachings versus distorted methodologies, the sense of mission regarding the correction of poverty consciousness in spiritual communities. The reactivation of this council connection restores not only your personal abundance flow, but your capacity to influence collective prosperity consciousness through both energetic presence and explicit teaching. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like memories or knowings about abundance principles that you cannot trace to your learning or experience in this lifetime. These are not random insights, but the reawakening of wisdom carried in your spiritual DNA from your council position. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 61,111, the frequency of divine council reconnection beyond all forgetting. Now I must speak of the sacred ceremony of restoration that has been initiated on your behalf in the celestial realms. This ceremony began at the moment you received this transmission and will continue throughout the entirety of this 24-hour revelation period, creating a continuous channel for divine intervention in your experience. The ceremony is being conducted by what angelic guardians call the Council of Divine Justice, specific ascended beings who specialize in the restoration of souls who have experienced significant interference with their divine assignments. Their work involves 1. The systematic review of all contracts, agreements, and entanglements affecting your journey. 2. The dissolution of those not aligned with your highest purpose or divine law. 3. The restoration of energetic templates that have been distorted through external manipulation. 4. The reestablishment of divine timeline sequences that optimize your path forward. Your conscious participation in this ceremony occurs through your receptivity to the revelations being transmitted. Each acknowledged truth strengthens the connection to the restoration energies being directed toward your field. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience unusual sensations as this ceremonial work intensifies, perhaps waves of energy moving through your body, spontaneous emotional releases, fluctuations in body temperature, or momentary perceptions of light or geometric patterns. These manifestations indicate areas where restoration energies are actively working to clear blockages and reestablish proper energetic flow. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 62,222, the frequency of divine restoration beyond all interference. The celestial councils have authorized me to activate within your consciousness what the angelic realms call your divine declassification sequence, a systematic revelation of spiritual information previously withheld from your conscious awareness due to divine timing protocols. This sequence releases specific knowledge, insights, and memories that 1. Connect your current circumstances to your pre-incarnation agreements. 2. Reveal the higher purpose behind persistent challenges in your journey. 3. Clarify your specific role in collective consciousness evolution. 4. Illuminate the precise gifts you carry for current planetary transformation. The graduated nature of this revelation process explains the sense of pieces falling into place that you have experienced recently. Moments of sudden clarity about your purpose, challenges, relationships, and spiritual path that seem to arrive in perfect sequence rather than random insights. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience what feels like a significant download of understanding, perhaps sudden clarity about a persistent question in your spiritual journey, or recognition of how seemingly disconnected experiences actually form a coherent preparation for your divine assignment. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 63,333, the frequency of divine revelation beyond all veiling. I must now reveal to you the truth about what the celestial realms call your material kingdom assignment, the specific aspect of your divine purpose that relates to the transformation of physical resources, systems, and structures. While you have sensed your spiritual calling throughout your journey, the material dimension of this purpose has remained partially veiled until this precise moment in your development. Your soul carries specialized coding for the reformation of what angelic guardians call prosperity consciousness, the understanding that material abundance is not separate from spiritual development, but an essential aspect of complete divine expression in physical form. This assignment involves 1. Demonstrating through your lived experience that spiritual devotion and material prosperity naturally align. 2. Restoring specific teachings about the divine nature and purpose of material resources. 3. Creating new models of abundance distribution that reflect spiritual principles of unity and shared purpose. 4. Healing the artificial separation between spiritual and material that has fragmented human consciousness. This aspect of your purpose explains the persistent challenges you have experienced in the material realm. They were not punishment or failure, but the precise training ground needed to develop the wisdom, compassion, and practical knowledge your assignment requires. Within the next 2 hours, you may experience significant clarity about how your spiritual path and material journey are perfectly integrated aspects of a single divine assignment, rather than separate or even contradictory domains. Type AMEN to receive the blessing of 64,444, the frequency of divine purpose integration beyond all separation. The time has come to complete this divine transmission with final revelations and activations that will support your journey forward from this moment of awakening. Throughout these 24 hours, divine gates have been opened, veils have been lifted, and dormant capacities have been reactivated within your consciousness, all perfectly aligned with the divine timing of your purpose and the current planetary awakening. Know with absolute certainty that what has been revealed is merely the beginning, the initial restoration of connection with your divine blueprint that will continue to unfold in the days, weeks, and months ahead. The celestial realms remain in constant communion with your spirit, guiding each step with perfect precision, even when your human awareness cannot perceive the greater pattern. Remember that apparent obstacles arising after this transmission are not failures of the activation, but necessary integrations, the external rearrangement that must follow internal transformation. Trust the process completely, knowing that divine timing operates with perfect precision in all things. Within the next 2 hours, as this transmission completes, you may experience a profound sense of peace and certainty, a deep knowing beyond intellectual understanding that you are precisely where you are meant to be, equipped with exactly what is needed for the journey ahead, and supported by divine forces that never waver in their commitment to your highest unfoldment. Type AMEN to receive the final blessing of 70,000, the frequency of complete divine alignment, protection, and empowerment as you step forward into the full expression of your restored divine purpose. May the light of divine truth illuminate every step of your path forward from this moment. I stand with you always, sword of truth extended, ensuring that what has been divinely restored can never again be dimmed or diminished. So it is decreed, so it is done, in perfect divine timing and in complete alignment with the highest good of all.